Hi, welcome to Business is Personal. I'm excited today to have Pablo Brizzio with me. He's an inventor. So we're going to talk about the mindset of an inventor. We'll also talk about the distinction between being an inventor and being an innovator. Yes, there is a distinction. And we're going to talk about how to maintain work-life blend so that you're not living dual lives, one at work and one outside of work. So I'm so glad to have you here. Please, if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, do that now. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Do you feel disconnected at work? Are you feeling exhausted? Almost like you hate your job and secretly, maybe your boss too? This is Business is Personal, a blueprint to discovering and creating meaning at work in collaboration with Smashi TV, a live streaming service in the Middle East for the driven, the dreamers, and the doers. Hi, welcome back to Business is Personal. I'm really excited to have Pablo Brizzio with me today as my guest. He is the Director of Director of Corporate Innovation at Abu Dhabi Ports Group. And that's not actually what I'm here to talk to him about because he's got such a compelling story as an inventor. Yes, this is my very first inventor on the show. Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you explain to the audience just in 30 seconds who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, Dr. Corrie. And if I were to synthesize who I am at the core, I would say I'm a serial inventor who designs unique products and also helps corporates to innovate by providing a disruptive mindset that helps them to create better products and services.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, invention is really unique. I don't meet a lot of people that say, oh, by the way, I'm an inventor. This is who I am, right? But that's how you actually introduced yourself to me when we met for the first time. You're like, hey, you know, this is my job title, but actually I'm an inventor.
Correct.
And I was like, that's amazing. Tell me, how did you get started in that?
Yeah, it's not easy. It was not an easy journey. I realized I started to invent at a very early age, maybe 7 or 8 years of age. One of my first inventions, I recall, I used to live in a tall building in South America. I come from Uruguay. And I used to read one of my uncle living with us. He was studying engineering at the time. He had all these books and encyclopedias about science. Yeah. And I was amazed by that. I recall reading those books. I recall also the milkman used to come to our house with the bread and the milk. And he used to have a bicycle with this little dynamo and this little bulb at night when he went back, you know, this would be on. And then we had a problem at home, I remember, and during the 70s, there was a lot of blackouts and we were during a dictatorship at the time, a military dictatorship. And then I remember so these blackouts, and I noticed when the light went off, we still used to have water for some time. And somebody at like an adult at home explained, yes, because you have tanks, and then you keep the pressure because you have for some time, so you have water in the house, though the pumps are off, right? So somehow I joined these three things, right? And this is what I think an inventor is unique or does different. Inventors are good at identifying patterns. Right. Yeah. So I said, well, why can we have at home, if we have water, why don't we have like a little dynamo, like the one that the bicycle has, right? A little dynamo connected to the water, to the tap, and then like a long cable and a little bulb. Yeah. Right. So it's like a torch. Yeah.
I see now. So you had the dynamo underneath the water tap.
Yeah,
and you turn on the water.
No, I didn't implement it practically. It was in my head.
Genius.
But technically it.
How old were you?
Works. About 7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years. And so your parents encouraged this in you?
Yeah, I wasn't raised with my parents. I was raised with my grandmother, but they didn't encourage this kind of thing. They thought I was over fantasizing, or you know, so they didn't like this. And so I had to create like a lab in my own brain, in my own mind. I created a lab where I was safe. Yeah. So I could explore and think. So somebody would look at me and I would be in a corner, you know, quietly thinking, and I would be inventing. But my parents didn't understand, or my family didn't understand this at the time. Yeah.
Well, that's challenging though, because that's still part of who you are, obviously. That
True.
stayed with you for your entire life. So it's challenging to not have that creativity encouraged by the family that you're living with.
True. They thought it was like wasting time, or like over fantasizing. And what's interesting is that one of my grandparents, he was an inventor.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a dentist, and he invented a few tools that he sold in Japan.
Wow.
I came to know. I also never met him, but I came to know this. So maybe some DNA.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, look, art and creativity are passed down from generation to generation for sure, right? And I think invention as a practice is a deeply creative act. I think it's core to humanity in the way that artists paint and sculpt, and musicians sing and write music. Like, I think invention is a way of using engineering in the world around us, manipulating the world around us to create things that haven't existed before.
True.
So it's a form of art.
True. And what people think is that to be an inventor, you need to be a scientist, or you need to be an engineer. It's not true.
That's right.
You can be an inventor in any field. Yeah. It's the way your brain is wired.
That's right.
So one of the characteristics of inventors, of what I would say real inventors, because the definition of inventor is somebody that has been granted a patent. And many people have been granted a patent, but they're not really what I consider true inventors, or they don't have their brain wired in this way. One of the characteristics is that inventors cannot stop images and ideas flowing in their heads. Yeah, it's like a bombardment 24/7, and sometimes we need to put it off somehow. Because it's too much.
Right.
And also, there's something very interesting. When you're a kid, being an inventor is tolerated in society. Yeah, even it's encouraged. You have like inventor boot camp, inventor this, inventor schools, inventor that. But once you grow up, to be an inventor is like a taboo word in somehow form, right? Unless you are extremely successful and you are, Elon Musk and you went to the moon. Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, it has a different connotation.
Right.
To be an inventor.
So do people think that you're just eccentric? Is that it?
Well, I mean, I don't mention much that I'm an inventor. Yeah, I mean, they are more comfortable with my corporate title.
This is a show, right? Like we're going on. It's going to go online.
I know. It's okay. I know it's fine. But it's part of my life, right? So whatever I do, I put my hat, or the hat is already there. It's moving in my skull. The inventor hat. So it's a natural thing. It's like you like music, you're a musician, right? You don't have to be Beethoven to be recognized, right?
That's
To feel that you are a musician, right?
But you've been recognized. Some of your projects have been huge. You had one story that you told me about that brought you all the way to Nike. Tell us about that.
So then of course I grew up, invention didn't go away, it was not a child's play thing. It was something serious. So when I was about 19 years old, I went to the cinema. I saw this, amazing motivational movie called Back to the Future 2. It changed my life somehow.
I love that series, by the way.
Yes. And in that film, you have a lot of innovations in the future, right? Yeah. And so when I went out of the cinema, I said, why do we have to wait for the future to have some of these innovations? Why can't we have them today?
Right.
So I liked one of them. It was like an autolacing shoe in the film.
Right.
Yeah, it was branded. It was Nike type of concept in the movie, right? So Michael Fox, the actor, he was wearing these Nike shoes, and when he put them on, it would autolace. Yeah.
Right.
So I like this one above the others, and I said I will start working on a solution. I want to make it a reality.
Right.
Yeah? So imagine South America getting like electronic parts, getting things. It was very difficult.
Wow.
Going to the shop, I need this. This does not exist. Okay. So after many years of hard work and trials and things, I came up with a working prototype.
Wow.
I even had to use some Polaroid batteries because of the form factor. I had to embed them inside the shoe. Yeah. I don't know. There's going to be some pictures after about the shoe, but I embed this, and when you press a button, this would autolace noiselessly.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got a patent in Uruguay. I couldn't afford at the time to get a patent in the US that would have been more stronger. And I convinced the local people in my country, I mean, the local Nike company, to meet the regional representative in Argentina. The regional representative at the time, he was not any person. He was a very important person inside the organization.
Right.
He had managed Nike Air.
Sure.
And I flew to Argentina with my backpack.
Yeah.
At the time, I remember I was working for IBM early in my career. So I took a day off at IBM. I flew to Argentina with my shoe. And I remember I'm waiting outside with the secretary and trying to see the cables are working. Everything is fine. And when I come into his office, he has a very nice big desk, wood, desk and very luxurious. And I put my shoe on top. I press the button and this autolaces, and I cannot tell you the face of this top executive, from the company. And he said, Pablo, this is amazing, but I don't have the last word. Yeah. So a few weeks later, I got a letter from the lawyers telling me that they were working on something similar, and they were not interested. Fair enough. 12 years later, I think they came up with their own patent.
Yeah.
I think my invention was 12 years ahead of time.
Right.
Too early.
Yeah, too early.
Yeah. So at that time I learned, and I was very naive because I said, I have the idea, they have the means. It's a prototype. It's not ready for marketing, but with their expertise, we can make it work. So I understood at that time that also the concept of open innovation was not, did not exist in the world.
Right. They wanted to invent from inside of Nike.
Correct. So they used to spend millions of dollars with PhDs and researchers and engineers. They cannot conceive, a 20-something-year-old out of nowhere. Even I was working for IBM at the time, but still out of nowhere, he came up with this concept that they didn't think about. Yeah. And years later, the crowd, the fans of the film, they put pressure on Nike and they developed their own model.
Sure.
So I was a bit frustrated. So I said, okay, maybe invention is not for me. I will dedicate my energy in my career to the corporate world.
Right.
And then I said, what can I do that is closer to invention? Because invention as a career mostly does not exist unless you're in the lab or you're a researcher.
Yeah, sure.
So I said, well, I work in innovation.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's a good segue, right? Because you have to add value to the world in a way that they'll share resources back with you, right?
Correct.
But do you find that there's a really big gap then between what you're doing for work now and who you actually are?
Well, there is.
Because innovation is close, right?
It's close. It's not the same. It's close. So there's a lot of overlapping and a lot of synergies.
Right.
And this is a way that I see it, right? I mean, I'm an inventor. I do innovation, and being an inventor and the way my mind works helps.
Yeah, sure.
In doing this job.
And what would you say are the differences between being an inventor and being an innovator?
Well, innovator, you can learn how to innovate.
Right.
Yeah. Inventor, somehow I think you're born with. Yeah.
Like musician.
Yeah, you can still learn, but you will not reach the same level. Yeah.
Right, of course.
It's like a musician. Yeah. You're born with it. I think so. You can learn how to play the piano, but it's not the same.
No, that's right. Like I'm not a musician. Okay, I wasn't born talented that way. My parents tried to get me to learn. Right. I learned piano for 2 years. I learned saxophone for 2 years. I wasn't good. Okay, not talented, not passionate. Now, I think if you're born without the talent and without the passion, you can still learn well enough to function. Of course. But you're never going to be Beethoven.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
You have to be born talented and then also have what Malcolm Gladwell calls the 10,000 hours, right?
Very good.
So I like that. You've got your 10,000 hours in invention now, yeah?
The other thing is I noticed, because meeting other inventors over the years, is that invention, in addition to another skill or profession, it's extremely powerful.
Sure.
And in some cases, I've met people working, for example, in cybersecurity, and they are, in addition, they are inventors, and they are like, how can I say it? I don't want to use the word scary, right? But very, very, very talented, and they can see beyond.
Right.
So many years back, I was invited by Hong Kong University to give a speech on the power, on why China needs more inventors, right? But it applies to all the world, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would recommend companies to hire inventor. It's like the key disruptive element in any team, right? And people don't know this. Companies don't know this.
Okay.
Yeah. So having an inventor as part of your team gives it another edge.
Okay. So as a business consultant and a strategist, I have never once seen any of my client companies put out a job ad for an inventor.
Yes, well, because majority of people don't understand what an inventor is. Either
Right.
he's a, you know, like a crazy person, you know, this what is it?
Like Doc Brown.
Yeah, this
from the Back to the Future.
tinfoil hat. Yeah, or he's Elon Musk and we cannot hire him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no middle ground for people.
Right.
Yeah?
But it should be viewed as an art, right? Like if you want somebody painting in your business, you want to hire an artist.
Correct.
If you want somebody composing music, you need to hire a musician.
Correct.
And if you want somebody creating new things out of nothing, you need
Correct.
to hire an inventor.
Correct.
Right? But I don't see any job postings for that. How would you get somebody to recognize that they themselves are an inventor? Like how does somebody wake up one day and realize that?
That's a very good question, and especially for parents. You know, even myself, of course, I didn't recognize when I was a kid I was an inventor. My wife's a psychologist.
Right.
And when I was an adult, she helped me to recognize and identify that I was a child inventor. So for teachers and parents, it's very difficult to identify because is the kid playing or he's inventing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really blurry line.
Yeah, it's a very blurry line. Yeah.
Sure.
So the parent needs to start seeing like a pattern. Yeah. I mean, he reads books about science or something. Yeah, he applies things, so it's not random. There's a process, or there's a hidden process. Even the mind of an inventor helped me also in other areas. Still, when I was young, you know, well, I was about 20 something, my early 20s. I got obsessed with pi, the number pi.
Yeah.
And I tried to find like a pattern inside pi.
Right.
Yeah. Some sign of order.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, not for all pi, but something. Don't ask me why. Maybe my nerd, I don't know, my nature. But I liked this challenge.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time, and I was obsessed. I had to stop at some point. But I found like a very simple pattern, very simple.
All of the nerds out there are holding their breath, hoping that you've actually found a pattern.
No, very simple thing. Yeah. And I left it, you know, I didn't work on it anymore. 10 years later, going through my documents, I found this. And I said, what should I do with this? I mean, does it have any value? Should I throw it to the bin or? So I said, well, I don't know. So I'll ask the people that really know. So I asked the creators of Mathematica. Mathematica, it's a genius.
That's Wolfram Group, right?
Yes, Wolfram from the Wolfram brothers and Eric Wolfram. I mean, disruptive type of people. And they have like the most prestigious online mathematical reference called MathWorld.
Yeah.
Okay, and in universities they have both. They have or Mathematica or MathLab.
Yeah.
People, you know, they different universities they compete. So I sent it to these people from MathWorld. I told them, look, I found this curiosity in my early 20s. Does it have any value? Should I throw it away? And they replied. I mean, they were very kind. They replied, said, Pablo, we like it very much. Yeah. It's a curiosity only. Yeah, but still, we think it has merits to be included in our encyclopedia or in our online reference. Yeah. So they put like a few, you know, lines of my curiosity in one of their, you know, online, you know, sections.
Yeah.
And I was very humbled. You know, I mean, these guys are geniuses, and I found this, you know, in my nerd time, and they're using it. So it's good. And some people, you know, ask me, well, but what's the value of this? You're not, I mean, isn't it a waste of time as well as your invention? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, these guys, they consider it a curiosity with worth to be published. And in the future, maybe somebody takes it, uses as inspiration.
Yeah, that's right.
For something else.
Well, see, that's why I don't think any of the inventions are a waste of time. Even if they don't monetize, even if they don't become an Elon Musk-sized thing, I don't consider those things as a waste of time because they are a fundamentally creative act.
Correct.
I don't think any art is a waste of time. I think all art is fundamentally a creative act, and therefore it has its own intrinsic value.
Correct.
Right? In 1,000 years from now, somebody might refer back to that and go, hey, that connects with this, which we didn't know about then, but now we know about it, and that's really important now.
And you see in the history of mathematics, for example, there's a lot of examples of math that was developed at the time that had no use.
Yes.
And then it was used in science and engineering decades later.
Yeah, and that's why it's important, I think, to view invention as a part of the collective wisdom of humanity.
True.
And not just a momentary idea, right? We think of ideas as momentary. This is just something that's for now, but an invention isn't momentary. It's part of the collective wisdom of humanity and becomes part of the technology that we're going to invent 30, 50, 300 years from now, right? And it might end up creating a new idea out of that, and that becomes another invention.
Absolutely.
But that's why I think, viewing inventors and viewing inventions as part of the creative act, something like music, something like dancing, something like painting, that, for me, that creates a whole new space to view that as a potential benefit that businesses could take advantage of. Yeah,
I think the major problem is that unless you're a kid, so you have this boot camps like I was mentioning.
Yeah.
When you're an adult, there's no formal path to be an inventor.
Okay,
there's no formal path.
If there's somebody out there that's identifying right now with you, and you know who you are, you're looking at this video going, oh my goodness, that's me. Okay? If there's somebody out there that's identifying with you right now, what do they need to do?
Well, they have to assess, sometimes it's not easy, but at what stage they are in.
Right.
Yeah. So inventors usually go through different phases. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you need to get like-minded people, whether it's a meetup group, whether it's online. There's some clubs in the US. There's some inventor clubs.
Yeah.
So but the first thing is one of the recommendations is, I'm sure you have 50 ideas. Just concentrate on 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preferably 1 or 2. Yeah. And try to go. It's a process, right?
Yeah. But it's also important. They can meet you.
Of course.
Okay, so if you're watching this show,
of course,
you're going to be at the Future Blockchain Summit.
Correct. I invented, or I designed 3 crypto gadgets for the people that like cryptocurrencies that allows them to
I'll show you.
This is one.
It's cool. It's
this is one of the products. Yeah, it allows you to, if you have a crypto wallet, a self-custody crypto wallet, so it means you own your own keys. Then people, what they do with this 12 to 24 recovery seed words, they write it in a piece of paper where it's not very elegant or it's not the best thing to do. So I created this metal plate where you can encode in binary. So if somebody looks at it, they cannot tell the words. And you can put this in a safe place afterwards, a metal rugged metal plate. It's called Crypto Abacus, inspired in the abacus, in the ancient abacus, and you can put it in a safe in the bank or somewhere.
That's really cool. What's your stall number at Future Blockchain Summit?
I will be the Future Blockchain Sabil Hall 4. J55 is the booth number.
Yeah. So go and say hi to Pablo at the booth if you're going to be there. That's really incredible.
And sorry, I forgot. If you come to my booth and you mention the name of the program and Dr. Corrie's show, I have a present for you. I have a present for you.
That's generous of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. So before we end, I want to ask you, what about your job gives you the most amount of meaning?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and reminds me of one part of one of your books I read. Business is personal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you say something that is very true. You cannot have a dual life. Yeah. You cannot be not happy during the day in your job and then going home and doing your hobby or doing your other things, right? So you need to find a way to merge or find meaning. And the way I find meaning is by putting my inventor hat on, and when I innovate, when I give ideas, I come from this perspective. So it's myself. I'm not doing a job because I have to do it. It's Pablo giving the idea. It's Pablo, So I put my heart in the things I do. Yeah.
That's
so
good.
and it has my blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has my blueprint. Yeah.
No, I know. There's too many people out there that are disconnecting themselves from work. They say, "Oh, you know what? This is what I do for work, but it's just a job. That's not really who I am."
True.
Right? Outside of work, I'm this, whatever that is, and they think that's what I really am. This is just my job, but that's not true.
It's not true. Also, when you do things out of your heart and with passion, you know, people notice.
100%.
People notice, and then when something is well done, they will not ask which company did it. No, they will say, which person did it.
Yeah,
I want to know the name of the designer.
100%.
I want to know the name of the, you know, they want to know, they want to recognize, or they want to, know this person.
Brilliant. All right, let's play a quick game.
All right.
At the very end of the show, we're going to do word association.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw out 5 random words.
Okay.
And you tell me the first thing that comes to mind as soon as I say the word. You ready?
Sure.
Design.
Innovation.
Love.
Hate.
Passion.
Dull.
Failure.
Success.
Joy.
Emotion.
Oh, very good. No, I like that. Thank you so much for your transparency, for your authenticity. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate that. And I know that there's going to be a few people out there that are going to connect really well with this story. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being
Corrie.
on the show.
I felt very, very comfortable, and thank you for the invitation.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Business is Personal. I hope it was valuable to you. Please comment, DM me. I want to hear from you. And if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, please do that now. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Do you feel disconnected at work? Are you feeling exhausted? Almost like you hate your job and secretly maybe your boss too? This is Business is Personal, a blueprint to discovering and creating meaning at work in collaboration with Smashi TV, a live streaming service in the Middle East for the driven, the dreamers, and the doers.